You want to share, Kristen?
Okay. Terrible.
There's
That's funny.
That's the IT.
Brian?
Yeah, Brian.
You hear us, Brian? Perfect.
Yeah, I can hear you guys just fine.
All right, it is 5:30. Go ahead and call the meeting to order. Friendly reminder, please turn off all cell phones except for emergency personnel, or at least put them on mute and vibrate. Michelle, can you do a roll call, please?
Mayor Johnson?
Yes.
President Joe Beatty?
yes.
Member Carrero?
Yes.
Member Lee?
Yes.
Member Mahoney?
Yes,
Member Shea?
Present.
Member Obada?
Yes.
Notice of agenda compliance per Idaho Code 74204. Finding that the regular meeting notice and agenda were posted in accordance with Idaho Code 74204 within 48 hours prior to the meeting at the City of Bellevue Hall, City Hall, Post Office, and on the city's website, and emailed to the Idaho Mountain Express on February 22nd, 2024.
I move that the notice for the February 26, 2024 regular meeting was completed in accordance with Idaho Code, Section 74-204.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Call for conflict is outlined in Idaho Code 74404. Anybody have any conflicts with tonight's agenda?
No.
No.
All right. Move to item number 3, council update, Friends of the Howard Preserve, Ms. Blanchard and Carrie York. Welcome.
I'm Florence Blanchard, project director for the Friends of the Howard Preserve. I'm at 33 Lower Broadford Road. I think I have to say that. Just out of curiosity, how many of you use the Howard Preserve? Well, that's pretty 100%, isn't it? So you really appreciate it. I'm probably going to be, a few minutes longer than I actually intended, just because this is the 20th anniversary of the Howard Preserve. And in September of 2024, I'll be 20 years old. And actually the Friends are about 20 years old. And I wanted to emphasize just how it came to be. And I do want to add that in honor of this occasion of the 20th anniversary, Mike Howard, who is son of the original family, has offered to host a barbecue for the public at their home on Riverside Drive, just a few minutes walk from the preserve in September, which you're all invited. So I'm going to repeat a little of the history that I gave you because I think it's important, and I haven't been here for 5 years and I'm sorry. Okay. I'll say, when the city acquired the original 0.57 acre property from the Howard Family Trust, a volunteer group called the Citizens to Protect the Bellevue Riverfront raised $40,000 from an art auction at Branching Out Nursery to match $250,000 in grant money that was raised by the Wood River Land Trust. No city funds were expended at that time and yet the city owns the property now, and for any future expansion, no money from the city was needed. So, and I think you might find this interesting that it was the mayor's wife and the wives of 2 of the city councilmen at that time who kickstarted that purchase and made sure that it happened. Sophie Wilkes, Janet Barton, and Joy Allen. Now, Joy doesn't live here anymore, but if you ever see Sophie or Janet around town, be sure and thank them. I always do. And that was a pretty forward-looking thing, as 20 years ago. Now, of course, at the time, some of the council were very skeptical that the city would be able to have the staff or the money to take on the maintenance of a new 12-acre park. That's when the Bellevue Tree Committee, the same people who helped raise the $40,000, they stepped up and they said, hey, we're gonna back you up. we're gonna help make the Powers Preserve a success. And so it happened. This group, called the Bellevue Tree Committee originally, became the Friends of the Howard Preserve. After the tree committee kind of petered out and disbanded. The Friends became a nonprofit in June of 2009 through an organization called Building Better Communities. It was an organization founded by former Councilwoman Tammy Davis. Some of you know her. And this, for a while, she donated a portion of an event she had called the Haunted Forest. And some of you may remember the Haunted Forest. And she donated a lot of the, a lot of the proceeds so that we'd have something to do the projects with. And in 2009, the Bellevue City Council adopted the Howard Preserve Management Plan, which all of you have a copy of, which created a partnership with the Land Trust and the Friends. And this was updated in which you have the updated copy that includes all the acquisitions. We had to redo the map because there were 4 more land acquisitions at the time. This is a partnership, which is why we have always had a city council liaison so that everyone stays informed and everyone agrees on any actions. Fortunately, Councilwoman Robin Leahy has agreed to be the liaison person for the city council. And hopefully tonight she'll be appointed to be that person. It's mostly informational. We want you to stay informed. We want to know what we're doing. The Land Trust wants to know. Since 2004, the Friends, along with the Land Trust, have contributed over 4,000 volunteer hours to build trails, pull weeds, pick up trash, report vandalism, and do other maintenance. Recently, in partnership with the ERC Weed Warriors, volunteers took 120 pounds of weeds to Ohio Gulch and also left behind another 140 pounds. This fall, members also cleared weeds from the turnaround area near the pedestrian bridge. You may wonder if some elf refills the dog dispenser. Well, it's one of our members, Melanie Dahl. She does that. The Land Trust gives us all the dog bags and she puts them in. These are things that the city would have had to do. Let's see. And the Land Trust installed a new memorial bench that overlooking the river. And this was a young Hispanic man who'd lost a child at birth. And he wanted to have a bench put in the preserve. This would be a second memorial bench. And they couldn't find anything they could afford. And the Land Trust pitched. And it's a very popular bench, very sunny looking over the river. I want to mention for a moment, if some of you may know Randy Edgers, who's a woodworker that lives down off Broadford Road there in that roundhouse. Not only did Randy and Mayor Barton build the pedestrian bridge in the preserve over the canal, but Randy and a friend voluntarily repaired it when trees fell on it during a windstorm a few years ago. He also contributed a beautiful handmade memorial bench for a friend's brother. And that family, every Halloween, the young man was born on Halloween, they bring a pumpkin down and they light it and put it next to the bench. So, people have a lot of personal connections with the preserve. Over time, the Friends have contributed over $14,000. It doesn't sound like a lot, but for various projects that included the installation of benches and signs, the entry gates, trash receptacles, bike rack, a designated parking area, facility shed, which the city helped fund that, and fencing. It includes gate repair, trail upgrades, parking area gravel, and runoff control at the Elm Street gate. The bulk of our very small budget comes from private donations and a few funds remaining from the Bellevue Haunted Forest event. I mean, we're just supposed to be advocates. for the preserve, and we've also attended many, many meetings to advocate for the expansion of the preserve. And Carrie will talk about that when I'm done. I've never been able to deliver all this information to the council. I'm very grateful. It's hard to know how many people use the preserve, but we know the number of dog bags dispensed each year is around 6,000. With an additional, another 2,000 visitors come on field trips, preschool through elementary. I've seen, there's a preschool in Haley that brings their kids up on the bus to play in the sand and these little safe pools in the south end. And then we have also fly fishing classes, after school science classes, and an occasional kayaker lands in the preserve. During COVID-19, you would have been really lucky to find a place in the river to cool off. The most popular activities are dog walking, swimming, trail walking, fishing, bird watching, photography. A diverse community uses the preserve, from parents with babies in their backpacks to teenagers on cell phones and senior citizens, as well as many Hispanic families. A lot of our trail users are great at picking up trash and keeping the preserve clean, which I think anyone who's been there thinks is pretty clean. The city of Bellevue owns and offers public access directly from town now to 36 acres of open space and 3 miles of public access river trails. I don't think this is available anywhere in the valley, anywhere else. The area supports a riparian habitat for bald eagles, elk, deer, and fox, along with sculpin, trout, mountain lions, and many varieties of birds. We even have a vulture roost in the summer. A few of our future projects, I suppose number one, we would really love to add that last piece of land, the Myers property at the south end of the Howard Preserve, because that is the only public access for about 100 families on that end of the, I mean, we've been working with them for a while. Carrie may have a little update on that. Oh. We need to repair the wood fencing at the Elm Street gate, which has been damaged by the contractors last year dumping a bunch of snow on the wooden fence. We may ask for some help with that. We want to replace some very faded signs in the area where the DEQ removed the lead on that one east-west trail where there's a fence. They removed some lead contamination in 2011. And they covered it up, but it's a restricted area now. Always, we want to keep track of the weeds, support restoration of the former Halverson property, which is right below the bank. We want to continue to seek alternatives to snow storage. The snow from the city streets that's dumped into the Howard Preserve contains oil and other contaminants, which soak into the ground and eventually into our river. So that's going to take a while to figure out, but we need to keep working on that. Our membership is diverse. I should introduce my members here tonight. I have Kristen Fletcher, who's on the park committee, Tim Fraser, and Lynn Clark. Somebody else on Zoom. Our membership is diverse, so never more than about a dozen. They come with many kinds of skills and knowledge. Right now, we have a river restoration specialist, a botanist, and retired Forest Service employee, a member of the Bellevue Park Committee, a photographer and astronomy expert, a professional gardener, and other residents along the river. We're invested in our community. We care about the preserve, and that's the only reason we do this work. We greatly appreciate the cooperation of Public Works, especially the organization that your new Public Works Director, Casey McGee, has brought to the shop area. the entry to the preserve, one of our greatest assets, really deserves to look better. And I'm sure the employees and staff there appreciate that organization too. The marshal's office, Marshal Kurt, is commended for investigating things like vandalism and other violations that we have no authority to stop. So with support, I cannot overemphasize the support we get from the land trust. Carrie there, who's probably, how long have you been with us? 15 years? Have we been our representative? Probably that long. And she has just been our solid backup. So with the land trust, the Friends have pretty much run the Howard Preserve, a commitment we made 20 years ago. But there are times when we need your help. And one of the things that we would love to have is an ordinance requiring all businesses on Main Street on that side to screen their trash. There are some businesses who do not seem to care if their construction or restaurant trash just blows down into the preserve. It's a very steep bank. You know, maybe we'd send 12 or 15-year-olds to get that trash, but it's not something we can do. This could be solved by locating and screening their trash bins in a proper way and giving some customer education, policing their businesses. I know it takes a while to get an ordinance passed. So maybe in the meantime, I don't know, how about a letter out to all these businesses asking them to take care of, calling their attention to that, because it's a continual problem. Some are better than others, but there's a couple that are really bad. So, unless you have any immediate questions, I'm going to turn this over to Carrie from the Land Trust. Thank you for this opportunity. I know most of you are new and haven't heard all this before. So I just wanted to let you know, you can't appreciate your volunteers if they don't tell you what we do.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for everything you do. Okay, I'm Carrie York. I work for the Wood River Land Trust. I know or have met most of you here. Thanks for having us today to learn a little bit more about the Howard Preserve. And I will just mention really quickly, the partnership that the Land Trust, the city, and the Friends have is pretty unique throughout the Wood River Valley. We actually tried to start a Friends of the Haley Greenway in Haley, and it never took off. We're hoping to have a good relationship with the city of Ketchum at our Warm Springs Preserve. But other than that, this is a really unique and special relationship and partnership. And I just want to recognize all the work and effort that the Friends of the Howard Preserve has undertaken in the last 20 years. It's really helped us and helped the city own, acquire, and manage the Howard Preserve. So, like Florence mentioned, we've had a good relationship. It's, kind of changed and evolved throughout the years, depending on city council and what each group can participate in. But what I wanted to do is kind of go through a little bit of the history today. Sorry, Brian, I know you're on the Zoom here. We're going a little old school because that's how it's working today. But this is a map, and some of you may have seen this. It's down actually at the Howard Preserve at the entrance. And we installed this in 2017 when we went through an effort to acquire a bit more land. So like Florence mentioned, the original Howard Preserve was 12 acres, kind of right in through here. And it was acquired from the Howard family through a grant that we received from the Land and Water Conservation Fund. And the Land Trust helped the city acquire the preserve through that grant and through the funds that the Friends raised. So the original 12 acres, it was kind of this weird shape. And we had always wanted to help kind of acquire additional land so that the preserve could become the 3 miles along the river that it is today. In 2012, the Land Trust acquired this lot right here from David Harris that extended the preserve to the south. At that time, the city was not interested in taking ownership of that, so the Land Trust held it until 2017, when we worked with the city of Bellevue to receive funding from Blaine County's Land, Water, and Wildlife Program. It's a fund that, there's a levy, a 2-year property tax levy that was passed, and it acquired over $3 million that Blaine County held in a fund to help support conservation projects throughout Blaine County. And we were successful in receiving funds to acquire this lot right here from Mick Halverson, and then this little skinny lot from the Gardner family. And what that did was that really kind of solidified a lot of the land that people thought was the Howard Preserve, used as the Howard Preserve. And so we were actually able to acquire it. The Halverson property was a pretty significant acquisition because that property did have real development potential. It was actually subdivided into 5 different lots. So, so we acquired that land. It all went to the city. At the same time, the Harris property went to the city. And now the entirety of that is encumbered with a conservation easement that's held by the Wood River Land Trust. So what that does is that ensures that this property will remain in the public interest forever. So even if the city of Bellevue decided to change some of its own property ownership structure or something like that, the conservation easement ensures that it remains for public access and for habitat protection. And so the neat thing that I like about this map is that it also shows other protected lands or open space along the river here, both north and south. So you can really see the extent to which people have access to the river here in Bellevue. Like Florence mentioned, we're hoping someday to acquire these lots to the south from Keith Myers. I do not have any updates, but you know, hopefully we'll be able to do that. And then I know some of you were involved in the Drinkers of the Wind subdivision application, which I know you're hearing again tonight. So that piece of property that we came and spoke towards public access for this piece right here, just so you have some context. That's where that is right there. So that is still in private ownership. My understanding is there's a fisherman's access easement, but it's still in private ownership. So yeah, so I just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of a history of the property and let you know kind of how it's evolved over time. Like Florence mentioned, there's always projects to do down there, and the Friends are really great at keeping a list of things that they would like to see. We do have, you know, every year we have annual work days. We do help with some weed control efforts. We would love to find a way to sign and have a better public entrance down here behind the city shop, because unless you know where you're going, it's a little weird. So at some point, we'd love to work with the city and, you know, the shop manager to try to figure out some better wayfinding or signage or route finding so that people know where the parking area is. There's also some things going on with our river restoration team. A couple of years ago, we did a restoration project that opened up a side channel kind of down here along the southern part of the Howard Preserve, and that's really important for flood mitigation, for water to come through in this side channel habitat. It opens up space for spawning and rearing. And then last year we did a project with the Drinkers of the Wind family to reopen this side channel over here. Again, for the same reasons, for flood mitigation and to open up side channel habitat, which is really important for floodplain connectivity. And then the other project that the Land Trust and Trout Unlimited are working on with the District 45 canal is actually at the head gate. So that lowhead dam, that concrete lowhead dam that's been there for a really long time is it's a fish passage barrier in later months when the water level is so low that most of it gets diverted down the 45 canal, and then fish can't jump over that really big concrete dam. So what we're looking at is putting a notch into the dam so that the district would still have a way to deliver the water that it needs to deliver, but that it wouldn't become a fish passage barrier. So Trout Unlimited and the D45 and my coworker are working on that project. I don't know if it's going to happen this year or next year, but it's been a really successful project and another collaborative effort where we're able to work with agricultural irrigation users and find solutions that meet their needs and the needs of fish and aquatic life. So yeah, from the land trust perspective, this is kind of a unique property because again, like we don't own it, but we have a really vested interest in making sure that it's protected, that it remains as a public access preserve. We would like to work with the Friends on improving some of the signage, like Florence mentioned. There's some old signage that's kind of dilapidated. So we want to keep working on things like that and doing other projects. Someday we'd love to figure out a way to restore some of the habitat on the Halverson property that is, you know, just kind of a field of knapweed and alfalfa right now. But we'll keep working on that. And yeah, like Florence mentioned, Mike Howard, who's the grandson of the original owners of the Howard Preserve, he would like to have a 20th anniversary picnic. We used to have an annual picnic every year down at the Howard Preserve, which was really fun. We're not really able to do that every year, but this being the 20th anniversary, we're really excited for that. We think it'll be in September. So yeah, we'll let Robin and y'all know when we have a date settled on that so that it can be kind of a fun thing for everybody. So yeah, if do you have any questions, you can ask me now, or I work at the land trust, so I'm easy to get a hold of. So, thanks for having us.
Thanks, Carrie.
Thank you.
We'll see you at the barbecue.
Yeah.
No,
Oh, and just real quick, I handed out copies of the management, well, a portion of the management plan from 2017. There are some exhibits that I didn't attach because then it was going to be like 88 pages. And I didn't think you wanted to have all of that paper. So if you'd like to see any of those, let me know and I can get those too.
Thank you very much. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
you
Thanks,
coming
guys.
tonight and educating us a bit. It has been a while. I don't think we've had this presentation since I've been on the council, so really appreciate it. Any questions at all? So at this time, I'll go ahead and open up public comment for items of concern not on the agenda. Please state your name and address and keep your comments to 3 to 5 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and kick this off, and I first want to apologize to P&Z and for last Tuesday's meeting with the Business Overlay District. The guidance wasn't as clear as I thought it was. I just wanted to get some comments so we could get your thoughts on it, so we could actually put our thoughts together, send them to a planning team, and actually develop a what do you call it, a statement of work, and bring something to you that we could actually develop and work off of. So we're still moving forward with that. We're taking the notes from both agendas, and I have a planning team that are going to review it and develop a packet to present to you, to review, find your findings of fact, and do the process properly. So again, I'll take credit for not providing enough direction on that. And again, we thank Ray for his years of service on P&Z, and we're sad to see him leave. Is there any other comment from the public? Yes, please, Suzanne.
My name is Suzanne Reed. I live at 24 Muldoon Canyon, and I would like to find out how we can have further discussion and more in-depth discussion about the proposal for a May special ballot. I know you thought that the bridges and levee people were having a special ballot, which they're not. And I would like to propose that any ballot of this considerable debt that the city is asking the community to take on happen when the majority of the voters could be expected to be there, which would be this November at a presidential election. I'm sure Shelley and Michelle, who handle the numbers, to start every year with nearly a $500,000 deficit for a single project in such a small community that barely made it through last year without its own deficit is something that needs far more discussion. And we simply don't have enough information. I will go back through the notes and all that, where I imagine it says specifically correlates the Merrick work to the DEQ failures, but to saddle this community with $500,000 every year before we even get started is an extraordinary ask. And as many people in this community need to be informed and have the opportunity to vote on it. And an election in May, a special slided in their election in May, rather than in this big year of a presidential election when Bellevue has been shown to turn out, seems to be questionable judgment by the council.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Yes, ma'am.
Kristen Fletcher, 200 North Ford. I just want to thank the street department and for keeping our streets very clean and the snow, the streets plowed during the winter. I really noticed that this winter, and the sidewalks cleaned off as well. And I also wanted to thank our marshals for their diligence, stopping speeders on Main Street. I've really noticed the difference on that, and I just wanted to thank them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Yes, sir.
Hi, I wanted to introduce myself and get on your guys' radar. My name is Alan Chambers. I work for a company called Safebuilt. We provide building department services from plan review to permit techs, planning, building plan review. We provide full services for cities from minor to major full coverage. We are currently in contract with the city of Ketchum, providing full department services for them. And just would love to get a conversation with you guys at some point. I know you've got some construction coming up, things going on in town, and that is what we provide and do. And would love to just get an opportunity at some point to sit down and have a conversation with your staff and maybe talk about how we can come alongside and partner with you and kind of work with you some of the projects coming up. I will leave some of my contact information here. If somebody wants to call and have a question or whatever, I'd be happy to sit down and engage with you and see what we can do to kind of walk with you through that process. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anybody on Zoom? Comments of concern not on the agenda? Not seeing any at this time. I'll go ahead and close public comment. Item number 5, unfinished business, consideration of approval of resolution 2366. The resolution of the mayor and common council of the city of Bellevue, Idaho, authorizing the mayor to sign engineers joint contract documents committee agreement between the city of Bellevue and Merrick Company for engineering professional service relating to the drinking water project. Greg, I believe you're online. Greg, are you ready?
Yes, I'm here. Sorry about that. I had to find the right button to push. As we discussed at the last meeting, there were some changes to the agreement that we had submitted that came about just as a review of the agreement came into play. There's 3 notable changes. One, we incorporated the notice to proceed will be delivered to Merrick after the bond election and after the city has arranged for its funding and you're good to go. So the city is not on the hook until you get the funding arranged for the services in the agreement. The other item was that we showed Stuart Hurley signing the agreement, and that had to change to one of our more senior leaders in the company, Michael Martin, just due to the magnitude of the agreement. So that change has been reflected. And then the last change is that we showed in kind of buried deep into the agreement that we would perform the appraisal services for any land or easements that need to be acquired for the improvements. And that was changed to, we would assist those appraisals. That Mark doesn't actually do the appraisals, so that was a correction. So those are the three items that we have changed to the agreement that is before you tonight. Is there any questions?
Council, do you have any questions?
This is a formality based on the
Yeah, based off of
last
last
meeting, yeah.
Sean, do you have any questions?
Nope, not so far.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
Okay. It comes down to, does anybody want to make a motion?
I move to approve resolution 2366, a resolution of the mayor and the.
I know,
Yeah.
that's what I'm seeing.
Just want to make sure. One second.
Yeah.
There's
The
conflicting
agenda,
numbers.
yes.
All right.
The agenda says
2366,
And the resolution is 2363.
but on the resolution on the back, it's 2366.
Which one is it, Michelle?
Well, 666 is the IT, I believe. So it should be 63. Second one.
Okay, I look like I still
Yeah, the IT is 66. What happened is the numbers got
Good catch,
backwards.
everybody.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Give me 1 second. Start over. I move to approve resolution 2363, a resolution of the mayor and common council of the city of Bellevue, Idaho, authorizing the mayor to execute the engineer's joint contract documents committee, EJCDC agreement between the city of Bellevue and Merritt Company relating to the drinking water project.
Second.
Roll call, please, Michelle.
Councilmember Shea,
Yes.
member Mahoney,
Yes,
member Omenauer,
Yes.
member Leahy,
Yes.
member Carrero,
Yes.
President Jordan.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
We'll get that signed and sent over to Christina in the morning. All right, moving on to consent agenda, item number 6. We have 2 items tonight, approval of claims and department head reports. Are there any questions on either of those?
Were there any other department head reports or,
We had Marshall's fire, and then the treasurer's report,
no streets or library?
not that I'm aware of.
My question would just be to Shelley, if there's anything notable you wanted to,
Oh, I think she has me separate,
oh, that's right, sorry.
so I was gonna do highlights.
Great.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything this round.
I had a question about our snowplow services. Is that just for the last 2 months or for the last? It's for the last 2 months. And is it an hourly? Isn't it the same person we used last winter as well?
Yes, it's Papa's.
So they get called in when Casey sees the need, typically in the evenings, so we can get ahead of it, and then Casey's crew in the morning will do the cleanup and, any additional work. So mainly the night crew.
I was just more curious about how much it is hourly and if we've had any other just got any other bids for it to see if we can get it less?
No, I think it's around 110, depending on who's driving and who's doing it. So I think it's on a scale from 80 to 110. The next closest bid started around 200 an hour.
And then also within that, there's equipment charges if they have to use some of their equipment.
Okay.
And that was something I think we passed, but their contract last fall, I
Okay.
believe. So we do have record of
And we
it.
did do an update on the contract this fall before, when Casey came on, but, and we've been using it very limited. I think we've only called them out 2, maybe 3 times, and they bring 3 or 4 people out with them, so.
Oh, wow, okay,
They'll get in a couple different vehicles, the toolcat, and they'll be the main areas to get everybody to the roads, and then Casey and the crew do the cleanup, touch up, and make everything good and pretty.
great. Awesome, thanks for clarifying that.
Sounds like it's been going very well.
Yeah, I was more curious, I was just curious about that hourly rate, so thanks for explaining that.
Mayor, I have a question on the claims payable on the last page. Maybe it's not the last page. For Keller Associates in the amount of $431.25.
Which department is that under? On your right there?
On my right,
Probably gonna be on the
wastewater.
I'm gonna throw out a guess. It's closing out their contract. We've completed closeout with the liner. We're still going under, I don't know what to call it. We're trying to meet with the county commissioners. The residue from the liner replacement, all the dirt that we hauled out of there up to Ohio Gulch, got charged at a higher rate than what we anticipated. There's 2 different rates. The contractor went ahead and agreed to the higher rate, and was just dumping, and they didn't think about it. And after they got their tonnage bill of close to $100,000, now they're trying to go back and get the reduced rate. Typically, it works that if you negotiate the reduced rate, the county and Ohio Gulch and whoever the main owner of that is, they'll work with you and do that. We're doing a little backwards right now. So that will be the end of the liner project, once we get that taken care of. But as far as on our end, we paid everything that we owe on that. With Keller, I had a meeting with them today. I'm asking them we had them do the plant facility study. We've got a grant from DEQ to have them to do that. And even though the plant is in the condition that it is, and the facility plan really doesn't make sense anymore, we are having them wrap that up, and it might be a few $100s, but that gives us a basis to say this is what the state of the plant was before the failures to present to ICRIMP. And we are just adding up what we've paid for so far, future cost assessments on ICRIMP is actually working very well with us, so we are expecting to get some financial reimbursement from them from this. And then we're continuing to work with Mountain Water Works to work on a reuse permit and develop a plan of action moving forward to get the plant back operational. We have gotten a few of the items, some of the blowers, some of the mixers, so we can actually get better contact time on the chlorine and meet our discharge currently. So we are starting to assess what equipment is actually salvageable, what we need to fully replace, and the exact direction if we are going to go back into a membrane plant, or if we're going to transition to an activated sludge plant.
Thank you for that very thorough answer.
That's good.
That one or 2 meetings up.
He never took a breath.
Any other?
I had one other question. The city of Ketchum, the membership due, what do we get for being a resort city member?
We get lobbyist support right now with some of the things that we've been looking at are, what do we call it, long-term or short-term rentals. Trying to make sure that we have some sort of say on how those are managed throughout the city. Looking at additional liquor licenses for restaurants specifically,
not like trying to bring in a silver dollar again, but something more like the Cutthroat Club, where their primary job is a restaurant, but to serve a cocktail to bring them up to be able to compete a little bit more. Things like that, but basically just working with to make sure that the resort city status works for the resort cities, that everybody can't jump on lot taxes, and that it still provides benefits to the resort communities and areas like that. Anything else?
I was just gonna say it's a very diverse group of people from basically resort cities all over Idaho that are coming together, working with lobbyists, and kind of approaching issues head on that affect resort cities in particular, which is a particular group. So for the dues that we pay for the year, I think we're gaining a lot out of it.
I think that's a.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Any other questions on the claims or department head reports?
No.
Then take a motion on the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Is that an all or roll call?
Roll call.
Roll call.
Sorry.
Are you guys giving money? Are you guys paying bills on this?
Oh,
Yeah. You should do that.
Member Leahy,
Yes.
member Ovina,
Yes.
member Shea,
Yes.
member Mahoney,
Yep.
President Giordani,
Yes.
member Pereira.
Yes.
Right. Thank you. So item number 7, treasurer's report.
And just briefly, first report is the cash position. Just comparing to last year, we're 3.2% off of where we were last year. Yeah. The first report is just kind of the profit and loss, starting on the next page, is the city as a whole. So it's much easier to look at the general fund on the next page. And in January, we finally started to get some income. You'll notice up there in the income, 41700 city property assessments. We got 460, almost 465,000 of property tax assessments came in January, amongst a couple other things. So things finally started to come in. If you look down at total income and look at the percentage over on the right, we're at 38% of where we budgeted, and this report covers 33.3% of our budget. So we're doing fine there. Payroll's right on track for the general fund. Operating expenses are on the next page. If you go through to operating, it's 36%, so it's up just a tad from where 33 would be the mark to hit. But when you get to the total expense down at the bottom, we're hitting the 33%. So on the general fund. On the general fund. Then you can look at the specific departments. I'm not gonna go through any details on those. If anyone has any questions, you can certainly ask. We do need to do some budget amendments to make some of this right. Moving forward, I am working on those now, so hoping to be able to present some. We'll have to do public hearing and everything on those coming up, hopefully shortly in the next month. So, any questions on any of this?
How's our fire truck running now?
Good.
No complaints?
Nope.
Good.
Brand new, all over again.
All over again.
There's a decrease from 2022 and 2023 on that city property assessments. It's not large, but we know it changed, why it went down?
No, it just is. We're looking at the general one.
I'm looking at just the overall profit and loss income line 41,700, the property assessments that you were talking about.
So that could be anything from additional actual resident homeowners, so they
Like
get,
exemptions and
so they
stuff like
get the
that.
exemptions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. just that being a large part of our chunk of money coming in, it's just.
Well,
seeing
the
it
budget
break
for
down,
the year is 811, and we've already received almost 465. So we've received more than,
but what was budgeted.
yeah.
Okay,
For building permits, I noticed we are also down from the previous year. Are we seeing a slowdown in building or?
Typically this time of year is the
Yeah.
slowest. Yeah. So hopefully that will pick up in the spring.
Right.
We're also seeing labor force being maxed out with the number of bills that are going around the entire valley. So we are gonna see a slowdown in actual permitting because there's just nobody to do the work right now.
Any questions?
About one, not necessarily about an amount of anything. But I'm seeing a heck of a lot of new signs out on Main Street. And I didn't know if Michelle was permitting those or if anybody's making application for sign permits because
like businesses?
many
You're talking more about like the sandwich boards or the
sandwich boards and
new
signs on,
signage?
yeah.
Yep.
Well, we've only received $100, so I don't know what that encompasses.
I've done 2 sign permits, the pizza place over
Jay's
here,
Pizza.
they just replaced their sign, same square footage. And then a young lady bought the custom, like furniture place. She bought some building and they just put up a little wood sign. That's the only 2 sign permits I've had.
Okay. I might make a list.
If that's okay, Mayor.
No, if we can make a list and, advise them that their sign needs to be permitted
Yeah.
and make sure it's not blocking.
I mean, it's not a huge line item, but it's money.
It's money and it's just a review process to make sure it's not blocking line of sight that could be a pedestrian hazard or something else, so.
Procedure. Yeah,
Procedure.
and compliance. I think that's what we're kind of seeing a lot is as we continue to work on moving in a more profitable direction, it's making sure that everyone's compliant with what we're putting in place. So thank you for bringing that up.
Shelley, I just had one more. I noticed we were down on the grant line. Is that just because stuff hasn't come in or are we doing like less grant work or?
I don't know who's doing any grant work at the moment.
Got it.
Yeah,
Did we had, it's like 130,000 budgeted. Is that because we knew that it's coming or?
I came in after that. was budgeted.
Yeah.
Disclaimer. I would have to look back at how that was budgeted out. Like, for example, library budgeted, 5,000.
Yeah.
So that would be 5 of it. Fire was 10,000, so each department has some,
Grants to hit.
budgeted in there to get to that. I'm not sure on,
I know the library has been working on and receiving budgets and donations or
Yeah.
grants and donations. I know, Kristen has been working pretty hard at that and last conversation I had, that was actually working pretty well.
yeah, she's gotten some.
She's over.
Yeah.
And then, I think both marshals and fire chief, as they have stuff come up, they present them. We're working on a couple on, like I said, with the energy audit stuff from University of Idaho. I've got to finish those up this week. So we do have some in the mix. Previously, we had a contract with a firm out of California that was doing some grant work for us. It wasn't really paying off. The last one that they were trying to find for us was a rural development grant for either water or wastewater, but they were charging us $1,500 to work on that grant, and it's a grant that I work on around the state all the time. So it was not worth our money to continue to hire that firm to do what we can do in-house. So we're looking at grants all the time. We're working at Idaho, what was it, Blue Cross? Blue Cross Foundation. We're looking at going to some training with them that can help get some community grants out there from everything from, public health and safety to, playground equipment type stuff, get people outside active. So we're looking, it's not like we're,
Yeah, I just wasn't sure how that was. I would like to go back and look at that, why that budget line was so high, because if you look last year to this year, we're only 2,000 off of what we did in grants the previous year, so I know that,
I got it. It's under streets. 115,888 was budgeted for grants under streets.
and we did get the 75,000
Yeah,
for the
we did.
transportation study.
Yeah.
So,
So we're doing pretty good down there.
Got it.
Look how up though.
the motion on the treasurer's
I
report,
liked our interest in him, yes.
Yeah.
is there any action on the treasurer's report?
I didn't list it as an action item. I think it's just more
Okay,
It's just,
report, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sharon?
All right, thank you, Sean.
thank you.
thank you.
Now, we'll move on to public hearing. Public hearing to consider the final plat subdivision application for Drinkers of the Wind subdivision submitted by Opal Engineering LLC on behalf of Brooke Bonner, Drinkers of the Wind Trust, located at 51, 65, and 71 Lower Broadford Road, Bellevue, tax ID lot 7516, section 36, township 2 north, range 18 east, and lots 1, 2, 1 and 2, block 1, Boutonniere, Williams subdivision, Dave Patry, Galena Benchmark Engineering. You want to kick us off, Dave?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This is David Patry with Galena Benchmark Engineering, contract planning services for the city of Bellevue. Want to let you know that I talked to the applicant's representative earlier today, who's out sick and not available. She apologizes for not being present at the meeting. However, I think this is a pretty straightforward application, and I think I'll be able to answer any questions that you have, whether they pertain to the applicant or for staff. So it looks like we're starting out on page 113 with the cover page in your packet. And I just wanted to go in and note that the staff report that's provided in there is the staff report that was provided for the Planning and Zoning Commission. And they approved this at their meeting last week, or made their recommendation for approval to the council. This is a public hearing, and notice was posted in accordance with that detail that is on that cover sheet. And that's on page 113 of 192 in your packet. So background on this is that in May of 2023, the council approved the preliminary plat, subject to conditions of approval. Staff has received the application for the final plat. The commission has made their positive recommendation, finding that it is substantially consistent with the preliminary plat, and it meets the conditions placed upon it, and it meets all the requirements of Bellevue Code and State Code, subject to 5 conditions of approval. The only comments from city departments came from the city engineer. Those are attached in the form of a memo and a checklist. I will note that any comments or missing items are addressed in the conditions of approval that were noted in that engineer's report. And then when we get down to section 4, there's the suggested conditions of approval 1 through 5. And staff is recommending that you approve based on the recommended motion on page 113, that cover page. But of course, I will take any questions from the council prior to your deliberations.
Well, this seems very straightforward to me.
And I will note that it is, again, if there aren't any additional questions, it is a public hearing. So there should be a public comment section um, if there aren't any questions.
I have any questions right now? I have none.
Seeing there are no questions from the council at this time, I'll go ahead and open it up to public comment. Is there any public comment on this application?
Where do these public hearings get posted?
City Hall, post office, and the city webpage.
In the Idaho Mountain Express.
Mountain Express. Thank you, Dave. Yes, Tom.
Tom Blanchard, 33 Lower Rockford Road. I made a comment, I think, in front of P&Z in one of their hearings quite a while back, that I think this is a win and a great opportunity for Bellevue. The only thing that I haven't had a chance to see is the floodplain layout, and particularly the particular positioning of the public walkway that goes down through Blaine County. I think it's real evident when it's going to be on our side, particularly on the east side. There's no question about where it's going to be. And I don't think on the west side, in terms of Bellevue, there's any question about that. But there are some difficult judgment spots in terms of what mean high water is and how it impacts or relates to historic flooding that's been there with evidence of riprapping. And so it's disappointing we don't have that information in front of us that we can look at and be able to comment on. But beyond that, this is really a win for Bellevue.
Thanks, Tom. Do we have any updates on the trail system, David?
No, there's no trail system that is proposed as part of this. There is I believe it's referred to as a fisherman's easement, as it's required in Bellevue code. And it does include the plat note that was required in the preliminary finding, stating that there is a 10-foot fisherman's easement along the mean high or the ordinary high water. Mean high water is not the right terminology, but the ordinary high water, and that is going to move from year to year. So it is not necessarily shown on a map. The floodplain is shown on it in the floodway as required in Bellevue code. So those are there right now. Those, of course, will move with FEMA updates to those mapped floodways and floodplains. But there is a plat note, and I forget what it is. I'll need to look quickly on the staff report here. I believe it was from the original condition of approval. It's actually, I misspoke. It's a 20-foot public access easement along the parcels A and B. And that requirement that came from the conditions of approval in your preliminary plat approval are demonstrated on note 15 of the final plat that's submitted with this application.
Thank you, David. Is there any other public comment? Anybody online have public comment for this application? Seeing none, at this time I'll close public comment. Any additional questions or items of third council?
So just to clarify, because there was contradictory, in some of the reports, it said that the floodplain and the floodway lines are not shown, but then I am seeing them on this document we've received, right? So it's been edited, we're seeing it. Okay, cool. Thank you.
I got out my magnifying.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, it's very little, but I think I see it. Yes, great. Okay, that's all.
I am ready to make a motion if deliberations are over with.
Sean, do you have anything to add?
Not really.
Thank you. I think we're good there.
Okay, I move to approve the final plat application submitted by Opal Engineering on behalf of Brook Bonner, Drinkers of the Wind Trust subdivision, finding that the application substantially conforms to the preliminary plat, all requirements set forth in chapter 1134 of the Bellevue City Code and Idaho Code 50-1304, with conditions 1 through 5 as noted in the draft findings of fact, conclusions of law, and decision.
Second.
Roll call, please, Michelle.
Councilmember Boyce,
Yes.
President Jordan,
Yes.
Councilmember Carrero,
Yes.
Councilmember Mahoney,
Yep.
Member Leahy,
Yes.
Member Ovina.
Yes.
All right, thank you. And that completes unfinished business. Moving on to new business. Consideration approval of ordinance 2024-01 and ordinance calling a special municipal revenue bond election to be held for the purpose of submitting to the qualified electors of the city of Bellevue, Blaine County, Idaho, the proposition of issuance up to 7 million negotiable waiver revenue bonds of the city of Bellevue, Blaine County, Idaho, to finance the design, acquisition, and construction of improvements to the water system and facilities of the city of Bellevue, Blaine County, Idaho, providing for the issuance and the payment of such bonds and design and construction of said improvements, and providing for reserve funding and payment of cost of issuance of the bonds. Chris Johnson, Mayor, and Daniel Quaid, Bond Counsel, Holly Trixel. Holly, are you with us tonight?
Danielle.
Or Danielle, sorry.
Hi there, this is Danielle Quaid. Thanks for having me, Mayor and Council. I'm here to answer any questions you have about the ordinance in front of you before you consider taking action on it. The summary that was read is a pretty good summary, but I would direct your attention to the official ballot, which is found on page 3 of the election ordinance. That is what will be presented to the voters. As you can see, it's quite long. A lot of that is because of required disclosures that have been kind of getting added to and tinkered with by the legislature for the last about 5 to 7 years. But the question does clearly call out what the project is for, what you're going to build, the maximum amount that you're going to authorize, which is the $7 million out of your total about $9.5 million project, because you got significant grant funds from DEQ. And then that loan with DEQ would be amortized over a 20-year period. And they have offered you a loan to go with those grant funds at an interest rate of 2.5%, which is how we got to the estimated total cost and the principal and interest costs in that second from the bottom paragraph. The city has the opportunity to call elections on 2 dates, May and November. So you would have to wait until November if you chose not to use the May date to get it submitted to the ballot, or to get it on the ballot in May. You have to have it submitted to the county clerk by the 22nd of March, which is 60 days prior thereto. And then from there, since the consolidation of elections, the county clerk pretty much takes it and they put it on the ballot and they produce the notice of election. We check to make sure that those things are done correctly, but from there you just wait and educate your voters to the extent you can. As part of our advice during the election process, we offer consultation on that issue of an education campaign, because you cannot use public funds to advocate for a bond election. So we're happy to participate in any educational materials that are produced or shared. And I can get into the details of that if you want to discuss it further, but I'd probably start by taking questions on the election ordinance and the language of the ballot.
I know there's been some talk of the dates
And I believe there was a reason we were all pushing for May. Maybe we could go over that again.
Primarily, once we get past, apply for the funding for DEQ and we can start the project, we can start working on it this summer versus if we go into November, we're waiting through the winter before we can actually make good headway on it. That's my primary reason to have it in May.
Wasn't there an expiration date on the DEQ funds as well, correct? Like we had to approve?
Yes.
Yes, so
So,
if we wait, we could lose $3.5 million.
and then be going for a $10 million bond instead of a $7 million bond.
Typically, all those acceptances with DEQ have to happen by June 30.
The work, yeah, the work that the previous mayor put in last year to be awarded these funds, it in essence go away because we wouldn't be able to accept them and be able to match the funds needed to complete the project.
I also believe the other concern was low voter turnout in May. And we have to have X amount of votes, right? To get this passed,
No.
which is
It's 50% of the voters.
voter turnout.
Yeah.
50% plus one, just it's a majority.
Okay. I had a question about the wording for the ballot, but I think that was answered in the way that it's very particular in how it has to be presented. And so my next questions would probably be in the education piece and how we can use the assistance of Merrick and the lawyers to make sure that the education that we're putting out there, not using city funds, is neutral, non-persuasive information, how we can best work with these lawyers to work on the education piece, but would be my next topic.
We also have a citizens advisory committee that previous Mayor Goldman is working on to identify key stakeholders, key landowners, persons of interest that might be affected more or less by this, and to develop off the city's budget, off us, outreach and discussion opportunities. The primary one that the city will be involved with, and it'll be a portion of this council who wants to be involved. We're gonna find some of our private partners, our big water users. I'll probably reach out to say like Hunger Coalition, the ones that are, you know, maybe Sun Valley Gardeners, something like that. People are using high volumes of water. But we are having the workshop or open house in April 20th, I believe, or 22nd. And Merrick will be there to assist with answer questions. I believe our bond attorneys will have representation there. And it'll be an open house where everybody can, you know, look at both sides, understand what we're trying to accomplish. You know, I kind of like having water. It's kind of a big deal to me, so.
My question is there anything that you all can provide for just social media for educational purposes that we can post so people are informed rather than outside of the council meetings that we're updating based on like the educational pieces that, you know, we have, so our community knows more about it, because everything our community reads about this bond comes from the newspaper, and it would be great if we can directly communicate, you know, to our community.
We can work with both Danielle and with Christina, but again, we're gonna have this information that says all the required information that applies to the ballot measure will have to be on the documentation that we post on our social media.
Okay.
Which is doable.
Yeah.
Yeah, just having the right information.
Yeah, okay.
This is just a confirmation and reminder to myself and everyone else that even if we're bonding for 7 million, we don't have to use. If the project doesn't cost the 7 million,
correct,
we don't take all the 7 million and owe all the 7 million. This is just a
I believe that at the last estimate, we were in the 6.5 to 6.75 range. We went for 7 million because there's continued inflation. Things will change a little bit as we go out. We could have issues with negotiations of easements that cost a little bit more than anticipated. I mean, we did want a buffer in there. We weren't gonna go for a very large buffer, but we did want to have some extra money because it's easier to not use all the money and return it than it is to not have enough and not complete the project and try to ask for more. We're still looking for other revenue opportunities. I believe Christina's looking at the possibility of reaching out to state senators and getting earmarks on the current budget that's being debated in Washington. We've seen 3 or 4 systems throughout the state get earmarks that help projects for systems our size and like this. So we're still looking at other alternate forms, so we're not truly going after a full bond of 7 million. So there are opportunities out there.
I would just add that one of the benefits of the DEQ loan is that it is a drawdown loan, so you don't have to borrow the full amount and then put it in an account and wait to spend it like you do with a traditional bond that's issued to the marketplace. So you'll just draw down what you need based on invoices. And that's what you'll pay interest on. So you don't pay interest on funds you haven't borrowed yet. And that's what you'll need to repay. And it is just an authorization, not a mandate.
Thank you for clarifying.
Some of those other opportunities the mayor was mentioning, you have to have bond coverage before they'll give you the money.
Got it.
So you have to prove that you can pay it before they'll give you the money, right? Funny way of doing it, but yes, you do have to have bond coverage before you're even eligible for these other funds.
That answered a lot of questions. So thank you, everybody who contributed information.
Any other questions? Michelle, you have a note here. It says, per Ms. Quaid, the public hearing is not required to adopt the bond election ordinance. The council will need to suspend the rules and waive the 3 readings of the ordinance. You want to walk us through that, or Rick or Danielle?
What rules are we suspending?
Where you read by title only.
The read by title
Suspend
only,
the 3 readings.
waive the 3 readings.
And then are we also publishing the summary that was provided? I just noticed, I didn't see a separate action item. Don't we have to approve that specifically to be published by summary only?
We typically, the summary is approved in the ordinance and we typically use that approval, but if you want to pull it out and approve it separately, that's absolutely fine.
If you're satisfied, that's good. I'm good with it, so. I guess somebody would need to make a motion to waive the 3 readings and read by title only.
I will make a motion to approve ordinance 20-2401, waive the 3 readings and read by title only.
How about a motion to waive the 3 readings and vote on that?
I move to waive the 3 readings of ordinance 2024-01.
Second.
Member Mahoney,
Yep.
Member Carrero,
Yes.
President Jordan,
Yes.
Member Ovina,
Yes.
Member Shea,
Yes.
Member Leahy,
Yes.
And a motion to read by title only.
I will move to approve ordinance,
Just move to waive the,
I move to
Read by title.
read by title only ordinance 2024-01.
Second.
Councilmember Mahoney,
Yes.
President Jordan,
Yes.
Member Ovina,
Yes.
Member Leahy,
Yes.
Member Shea,
Yes.
member Pereira.
Yes.
All right,
So
now
then
somebody needs to
I'll
read
move.
it.
Yeah. I move to approve
You have to read it, right?
The title.
By title only.
by title, which is
It is
Sorry.
this, right up
this
here,
right here.
all
Gotcha.
caps.
Okay. I move to approve.
You just have to read it.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. So bond election ordinance number 2024-01.
Yeah.
An ordinance calling a special municipal revenue bond election to be held for the purpose of submitting to the qualified electors of the city of Bellevue, Blaine County, Idaho, the proposition of the issuance of up to $7 million negotiable water revenue bonds of the city of Bellevue, Blaine County, Idaho, to finance the design, acquisition, and construction of improvements to the water system and facilities of the city of Bellevue, Blaine County, Idaho, providing for the issuance and payment of such bonds and design and construction of said improvements, and providing for reserve funding and payment of costs of issuance of the bonds.
Second.
Now somebody needs to make a motion.
So now make a motion to approve ordinance 2401.
I move to approve ordinance 2024-01.
Second.
Right,
We got a second,
yeah.
and now roll call.
Okay, I was just making sure we were at the right spot.
Yeah.
Member Shea,
Yes.
member Mahoney,
Yes.
member Ogbenow,
Yes.
member Lady,
Yes.
member Pereira,
Yes.
President Jordan.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
We got
Are we good, Danielle?
Tag team.
Yep, you're in good shape. We will pull out the ballot question and the notice, and we'll need a signed copy of the ordinance just scanned in. And once I have all that, I can send it to the county clerk on your behalf. And as questions come up, or if you want to have further discussion about the information campaign issues, I'd be happy to do that individually or come back to council or answer any questions now.
All right, any other questions for Danielle?
I think I'm good right now.
Thank you for being here tonight. We appreciate your assistance, and I look forward to talking to you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item B, consideration and approval of on-street parking improvements applications submitted by Jolon Sawyer, Vital Inc. Architecture on behalf of Mountain Rides Transportation Authority for the installation of street improvements and 3 parking spaces in the city right of way in conjunction with Mountain Rides expansion per Bellevue Code Title 10-21-3 E2. Dave Patry, Galena Benchmark Engineering, and Julian Sawyer. Sire, Vital Inc. Architecture. All right, David.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. This is David Patry with Galena Benchmark Engineering Contract Support for the Community Development Department. This application is for 3 on-street parking places proposed by Mountain Rides. Beginning on page 143 in your packet, there's a cover page with a summary and the application materials. I know that I saw a supplemental staff report posted to the website. And I believe that you also have been provided that under separate cover. And so essentially what this is, and I'll say that I see that Wally Morgus, the executive director of Mountain Rides, is online, and he can help answer any questions on the applicant's behalf. But in the submittal items, you have stamped engineering drawings from Opal Engineering, along with the required application and notice for adjoining property owners as it's required in Bellevue Code. Following up on that cover sheet is a suggested motion. And so for background on this, this application has two other applications that are associated with it. The first one is a lot line removal, which this council approved at its previous meeting on February 12th. And the other application is a design review application that the Planning and Zoning Commission approved at its meeting on February 5th. And part of that approval from the Planning and Zoning Commission is a condition of approval that the council approve this on-street parking plan, because that is required in section 1021.3 subsection E.2 of your code. So you have all of those application items. Staff has reviewed those, and the application materials along with the relevant sections of Bellevue City Code. We find it to be in compliance with those relevant sections, and we recommend your approval subject to conditions 1 through 4 as noted in the staff report. This does not require a public hearing, but it's always at your own discretion whether you take comment or not, but you're not required to for this type of an application. So with that, I will stand for any questions for staff and invite the applicant to make comments if they so desire.
I have a question. And maybe it's for the gentleman from Mountain Rides or possibly Wally if he's still on. I went down over the weekend and had a look at this, and there was a bus stop and a bus actually parked. Is that where these 3 parking spots are intended to be?
Yes.
I'm the architect for the project, but I can compliment.
Hi, Jolene.
On behalf of the applicant, if that's okay. Whenever your questions are.
So please go ahead.
My first name is Joel Leon, last name is Sorry.
Sorry, Julian, I didn't know you were there.
No problem. I thought I was gonna be on Zoom, but in person I thought was better. So I'd like to elaborate like some of the 3 aspects that are in your drawings and are in your packet, since I and Sam Stallmaker, our civil engineer, are responsible for them. First one has to do with the parking spaces, and yes, you're exactly right, Dan, that's where the parking spaces would go.
Okay.
And then because the bus stop is currently there, it would be moving further to the west of the parcel. And there's an area allocated for a slab to get poured, and then we would present for that bus shelter structure that's kind of like over here by Ted's that just got approved. It would be that new bus structure in the future would go in the new location to the west.
Okay.
The reason for those parking spaces are the city ordinance requires a certain number of parking spaces for the type of use that the building is. This building has buses that live in it compared to number of staff members, all right? So the scenario is, yes, we can address the number of parking spaces kind of on site, but more importantly, there's a carport that can do some of the staff members. A bus driver has the luxury of coming in the morning and parking inside the building as they pick up their bus and take it out for their day. So several parking spaces for staff members are inside the new bus parking bays of the expansion of this facility. But the federal funding also requires parking ride spaces on site as well. So when you add together our staff and you add together the park and ride commitment and the park and ride customer being a member of our public, the best place that we found for the extra 3 spaces to meet that grander total was in the public right of way, but to do it in a safer fashion that you'll see on the drawings, where it has the 45-degree pull-in on it and 3 spaces in the public right of way. So the applicant, meaning Mountain Rides, would be paying for that city improvement. And I understand that when we are on your property, we need to get permission for it. And in other cases, we would be willing and want to pay for that, so you wouldn't have to pay for it. And of course, it would meet the city standards for the sidewalks and the curb and gutter associated. So that's one thing in this packet. Number 2 in this packet, buses, we are planning for 30 to 50-year vision, and the current length of the buses are in the 36-foot-ish range, correct? Yes. And we plan for a couple 41-footers. Why do I tell you that? Because the length of the bus and the axles and how when you come out of a building and you slope, you don't want to drag when you come out of your building that has a certain set elevation. So we're trying to store as many buses, plan for the future for potential larger bus lengths, and to achieve safe slope and not drag either something on the other side of our vehicle or our front or our rear bumpers. Sam Stallmaker with Opal Engineering, she's our civil engineer on the project. She's done studies through the building, And what we are proposing is from the center line to the crown of the street, so the street is already crowned and has a certain style of gutter, that where our gutter, which would be on the north side of Clover Street, is to come up a handful of inches, approximately 3 to 4 inches. So we would burden the expense on the city's property to regrade that side of the street, do a different type of curb that's better for the buses to roll over to during the traffic, whether you're proceeding to the east or to the west. So the second aspect is if we're on your property and we get permission to do that demo and that regrade, re-asphalt, re-curb gutter and so forth. So that's number 2. The number 3 is when we redo these sidewalks from the parking spaces far on the east, all the ways to that future bus stop location on the west. A couple things that we'd be doing is we'd be exceeding the city standard for the quality of the concrete and the reinforcing in the concrete, because the buses do a different load than most light industrial vehicles crossing a sidewalk. So with the improved sidewalk thickness, you won't see that. It will still flush out with like the regular sidewalks. But the sidewalk back to the property line, we have to do an asphalt extension so that from our private property until we meet the sidewalk curb and gutter assembly, which is in the tune of like 10 or so feet. We want to do radiant heat underneath that. So we're doing snow melt under all of our asphalt drives from a maintenance standpoint and from a safety standpoint. And on the south side, on your property, city of Bellevue, the third aspect for this whole package is we would need permission to do radiant heat in that asphalt portion from the concrete of the sidewalk to the 0 lot line. And we would pay for that, meaning the mountain rides applicant. So all this we'd pay for, we just want to make sure you understood all the passes that were in there.
Thank you for clarifying.
And with that snow melt, we wouldn't have any concerns with plowing, so with the different grades, I don't know how that would affect, if it would at all. So my plow services there.
This makes everything better in terms of the curb, the gutter, the crowning of the street difference, and then therefore if the city ever did have to blade and come in here, I'm sorry, we originally had 90 degrees for those parking spaces, and I talked with our engineer and she agreed, let's take them back to the 45-degree design, which should be in there, so that in the event that you guys would be blading the street, so that'll improve that. The area from the curb up, you'd have no problem, those slopes are that much improved for the bus, that for the blade of the truck, it's gotta be better.
Okay, perfect. And can you say your last name one more time, just
Last
since
name
I
is
butchered it?
Sorry.
Sorry.
But if you added a British accent, it might be sorry.
Okay.
I do have a question. Is this going to be integrated in when we plan to do the expansion through IDT? Like, are you planning to build this out when they're doing their expansion and coming through? I'm just wondering, like.
I don't know of any
No,
connection to
There's
IT.
no-
No, Sink Vans is the property to the west of
Oh, okay.
this project.
Got
And
it,
Sink
okay.
Vans is on Main Street.
Got it, okay.
Yeah, we're mountain rides and we're half a block over. I don't know, like,
Is the curvature of the new curb, we just described a little bit how it's different from what currently exists, just go in a little more detail for me
I
visually.
deferred to my civil engineer, nor
Okay.
did I look and focus on what's existing in there. She just assured me that it is one of the options that the city engineering standard details offers. And I'm
Okay.
assuming, all right, it's the least shallowest, easiest to drive over profile. Maybe Diane could better describe it, but I think I would call it, the smoothest rolled curb that you could do, little gutter.
Okay.
We adopted some new street standards 2 years ago. I seem to recall that, and that curb design was one of the things that was in that.
Okay, just thinking about the shallowness of it and runoff and water and things like that, but it sounds like it's all.
And how many dry wells did we decide to put in there?
On city property?
Either one.
So on private property, on our new parking drive-through aisle between the carport and the new addition, your drawings are not the building permit set, and it just has a reference to a dry well that's on there. She has given me the final permit set. We're not ready to submit it yet. Our steps are where they are tonight. But the point is, she had not done the calculations on the sizing at that time.
Okay.
But, my arms are saying it's bigger than 10 feet diameter. It's gonna be quite large because it's taking care of the carport, it's taking care of all the hard surface snow melted areas, it's taking care of the flat roof of the new addition, it's taking care of half of the flat roof of the existing building. So she's sizing it according to whatever it needs, but it's on our private property and it will be registered with the EPA or the DEQ, whichever one requires it.
Perfect, thank you so much.
And I'll just add that condition number 2 requires that these plans be part of the building permit application, and the city engineer will be reviewing the drainage and grading and drainage plan along with that in these improvements. So they'll be stamped, they'll be designed by a civil engineer, they'll be reviewed by a civil engineer.
Have we historically ever seen a creative situation for parking spaces to meet the number, like the 20 spaces saying, okay, well, some cars can pull in where the buses are, like, have we ever seen this before? Because that was just a question I had. It was explained well. I understand, you know, how you thought through 20 spaces and how you're using this facility, but it's just a unique way to get to the 20 parking spaces. Have we ever seen that historically?
I say for P and Z, yes, we have. We always look at between parking spaces and snow storage and the screen of the trash can. There's always creative ideas that come out to make the most use out of the land use and still keep the actual functional use maximized. So.
And remember, these are not, tagged for Wally as his spot. Those are free public spaces open to the public, but it's more to meet that park and ride requirement.
Gotcha. Thank you.
We have also in the past done a, like shared parking arrangement where if it's a restaurant in the evening and it's a sandwich place during the day, we were able to work with both of those applicants, and I think get some kind of agreement in place that they would honor each other's parking.
Yes, there are provisions in the code for shared parking and reductions. I will say that your Planning and Zoning Commission did review this parking arrangement and deliberated it, and I believe they, fully vetted it, did their diligence on it when they did their design review approval.
It's a long one.
I mean, I really appreciate the above and beyond that is being committed by Mountain Rides in all these adjustments and
that's Jolion.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be great for everyone, and I compliment the creativity of making it all work, so thank you.
John,
Okay,
jump in.
I get to read this long thing?
Yeah.
Okay, I move to approve the on-street parking improvements application for the installation of 3 parking spaces in the city's right-of-way submitted by Mountain Rides Transportation Authority located on the north side of Clover Street at approximately 117 Clover Street with the following conditions. 1, the applicant shall submit the final civil engineering drawings of the proposed improvement stamped by a civil engineer licensed in the state of Idaho prior to any construction for review by the city engineer. 2, the applicant shall reimburse the city for all engineering costs incurred by the city in the reviews of the application. 3, all on-street parking requirements shall be constructed as required by the City of Bellevue Code Title 10-21-3, E2, whatever that means, which include A, concrete curbs, gutters and sidewalks, asphalt paving, storm drainage, street trees and irrigation, parking lines, street lighting, and any other improvements considered necessary or appropriate. And B, the location of the construction of such on-street parking improvements shall begin at street corners and thereafter be constructed in a continuous manner.
Second.
President Giordano,
Yes.
Member Shea,
Yes.
Member Flora,
Yes.
Member Mahoney,
Yes.
Member Lady,
Yes.
Member Obanoff,
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. And thank you for your time and presentation. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item C.
Have a good evening.
consideration of- Okay. Thanks, David.
Thank you.
Item C, consideration and approval of resolution 2366, a resolution of the city of Bellevue, Idaho, authorizing the mayor to execute a service agreement pursuant to Idaho Code 672803, parentheses 4, with Micro Technology Systems Incorporated for IT technical management and support with one-time onboarding charge not to exceed $1,750 and a monthly amount of $1,319 for unlimited IT support. Shelley Shoemaker.
Spent some time resolving issues that we've had since I started with IT services, and I found this company through a referral. Another local entity is using them, so they come highly recommended. And I have Brian Carnahan on the call from the company to answer any questions you have about the service, but the proposal is to start March 1st with onboarding and having them handle all of our IT, all of our backup, just making sure our systems are running efficiently. Brian, pipe in anywhere here that you want to talk.
Sure. Yeah. Well, my name is Brian. I'm a team member at Microtech Systems in Boise. And yeah, I met with Shelley and Michelle a little earlier this month and went over, the city of Bellevue's needs. And I do feel that we would be a great fit to partner up with you all for, the unlimited IT support, handling backups, like Shelley said, and the new landscape of cybersecurity, which is so important in today's age. So we submitted a proposal and a tech care agreement outlining our services, but the bulk, the nutshell of it is we will offer unlimited tech support services for basically any time you pick up the phone and you call us. It's a one-time fee per month, and we are looking to partner with you as your main IT source. So I'm here to answer any questions that you may have. I look forward to hopefully working with you guys in the future.
So this is mainly coming back from, we're not receiving the support that we've wanted, and we've been paying for extra support that we're not getting. We recently saw last month's or last meeting's bill where there was excessive charges for excessive data use. They didn't make us aware of how much we were using, so they're just not supporting us. And I asked Shelley to find a team that's going to support us. And this is what we found and where she's found. So.
And I'm going to ask a question now, if you just pick her.
Yeah. And all the support is pretty much remote, because you guys are in Boise.
We are.
I'll come up if you need to.
Okay.
Go ahead, Brian.
Sure. We tend to, our first swing, we like to try to, handle things remote. But we are absolutely not opposed to coming on site, especially if it's an emergency basis, not a problem. We've got plenty of clients in your area, and we do come up there quite often. So especially if it's something scheduled, that's not an issue at all. But on the other hand, if it's something that's red alert status, we need you here ASAP, we will jump in the car and get up there for sure.
Brian, when you were assessing the needs of the city, did you kind of look at a cost comparison of hourly work versus monthly? And did you come to the monthly service fee as kind of an optimal price option, or?
Yeah, that's
you
correct.
that?
We did. And part of our decision process, somebody a little higher up on the ladder came to this decision, a part in the sense that you guys are a little bit out of our local jurisdiction, but mostly in the sense that we do feel like we can handle your needs within that budget, not a problem.
And this does include the shop, the wastewater, the library.
Okay.
It's all of it.
It's the whole, okay.
The
That's
fire
very
station.
clarifying.
Fire
Yeah.
station, it's everything.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah.
Sure.
And just realizing this, that, my company, Idaho Rural Water, we use this team and we have people around the state. So the remote service has worked very well.
On my other job, we use them for 6 months or so at the airport, and you don't even, it's seamless. It's gotta be way better than where we're at today.
It's one of those
At least for
services.
me at the fire station.
Yeah.
I wanna throw the computer out the window 90% of the time I'm there.
The referral was from the airport. They switched to these guys.
It's one of those services that you don't think about until you need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I know you've been having problems with previous services, so it sounds like a good fit. I understand these things can be costly, so that was like a reason I had asked, but. And that one-time setup fee, does that cover the duration of us as your client? If we take a pause in services, do we pay that fee again? How does that one-time fee work?
It's a one-time fee. So what we do is we bring a whole team of guys up on the onboarding date, and they run around to all of the buildings and they touch every machine and load our tools. And not only that, but they document your network and take photos. And it just gives us a good roadmap to assist you in the future. So if you ever call and say, hey, we got problems with XYZ, we've got documentation to know exactly what you guys are talking about.
Amazing.
They also have the staffing, we'll have a team, and they have the staffing to review, so that we can proactively keep up with our computers and IT and not be hit with big expansive, oh my goodness, we need $10,000 worth of equipment here. They will guide us proactively, like into what each year we should kind of plan on doing to stay.
Do you think this will help with the new integrations we have to do as well, like
I think
moving
so.
over? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So we offer vendor liaison services for nearly anything. You know, if you have an internet outage and you don't want to be on the phone with Syringa for an hour or whatnot, we will do that for you. So yes, I mean, the short answer, the answer is always yes. We're in the service industry and we're here to help. So whatever it may need that you need help, especially on the technical side, that's what we're here for.
When would you be looking at doing your on-site install day, if this were to pass, roughly?
Yeah, no problem. So I actually checked with my projects team lead this morning, and he said we can onboard as early as next week. And even, you know, if that doesn't work out, we can onboard the week after. So really whatever works for you. And obviously our first month's rate will be prorated, dependent on that onboard date. So for example, if we don't onboard until the 15th or whatnot, you'll get half of that monthly charge or whatever. So I'd like to think we're good guys. You know, we always try to do right by the client, and we follow through with that. So yeah, we're on track to onboard as soon as next week or whatever works best for you.
I was asking, I'm looking at working with Vasco and Boise State and their cybersecurity team to do a community analysis for us and just do an assessment on our cybersecurity throughout the town. So give you a chance to get everything put in and give you a heads up on that. So that'll be coming probably later this spring.
Sure.
There's a discrepancy that I found in the schedule of charges. It says monthly service fee of $1,205, and then on our resolution it's $1,319.
Because the two backups. So that if you look on
pull
the
up just
additional
one
fee
page
schedule.
under schedule 1A, we charge for backups. And
I see, okay, sounds good. And then last question to you from me, Shelley, is this pricing comparative to what we've previously been paying for tech services?
Yes, we have averaged about 12K a year.
Okay.
So, and this will rough out to about 15.
Okay.
Any other questions? Is there a motion?
I will move to approve resolution number 2366, a resolution of the city of Bellevue, Idaho, authorizing the mayor to execute a service agreement pursuant to Idaho Code 67-22803 (4) with Micro Technology Systems, Inc. for its technical management and support with a one-time onboarding charge not to exceed $1,750 and a monthly amount of $1,319 for unlimited IT support.
Second.
Member Alvin?
Yes.
Member Lindsey?
Yes.
President Dom?
Yes.
Member Valero?
Yes.
Member Shea? Yes. Member Mahoney?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening.
All right, let's keep going. Anybody need a break right now? We can keep going. Okay. Consideration and approval of resolution 2367, a resolution of the city of Bellevue, Idaho, authorizing the mayor to accept advanced control systems, Bellevue water carefree SCADA proposal and execute all agreements associated with the proposal pursuant to Idaho Code 672803 for the replacement and or upgrade of alarm monitoring hardware and software to the city water system. So it's gonna be water and wastewater system. We've had issues with our SCADA, especially on our main lift station where it's not calling out, and we've backflooded a resident's house twice with poo water. The SCADA system is probably what, 15 plus years old? When was it last updated? Shane? So
That wasn't even a complete update. Yeah, I think the last time the computer was updated, but most of the programming is, yeah.
So
it's 17 to 20 years old.
SCADA is supervisory control and data acquisition. It's a program that, if put in properly, they can access, and if we have the right controls and the right valves, everything, they can look at the system, see how it's operating on their phones. If something's going wrong, they can shut something off. This gets us up to speed, and it goes along with our current water project and wastewater projects. It brings us up to, up-to-date services and up-to-date software and hardware. We'll be doing replacements for the stuff that's failed at the plant that needs to be part of a plant upgrade anyways. I first asked Advanced Control to come out. We also asked DC out of Twin Falls to come up. Advanced Control showed up in about the next day. I think I called them on Friday. They showed up on Monday. DC, they came up pretty quickly, but we didn't get a quote back from them for after about 3, almost 4 weeks after they showed up. ACS had one within 3 days. They have a pretty good reputation throughout the industry. They drove out here in a snowstorm to see everything that we have. It's a good chunk of change. I'm looking at asking the county we had asked for $49,999 for a dewatering system at the wastewater plant. And they approved that. We're gonna do a request to have that changed over to the SCADA system. It's what we need right now. We're not gonna need a screw press for several months to a year probably. And we'll get to that when we need to. But to get us online, to give our operators the best chance to follow what our system needs are, get the call outs so we're not back flooding people's toilets and the restrooms. I think this is an option, and it goes into some of the projects we're already working on. Anything else?
Pass it, I'm walking out that door.
And that's
So there's that.
one other thing is that we currently have the main SCADA control for the water system, and the lift stations is down in the city shop. We're gonna move it upstairs into the middle room, so it's more secure. It's behind a secure door. And it's what needs to happen as part of our sanitary or just part of DEQ process of where this should be, just so we become more compliant.
And I'm sorry, I don't know this, but how does this work with the other new software we're getting that is? Cassell, thank you.
So Cassell is gonna be more billing.
Completely different, right? Okay,
Yeah, these,
that was my one question.
regulatory wise, these have to be separate. So
Okay.
this actually runs the operation, so it has to
Okay.
be a standalone system and everything. And the one that we're looking at here is, it also gives us, we'll be updating the communication network, that everything talks to each other, not just the software. And it's actually more open-ended than what we have now. So if you find people like myself that can program it, we can do it, so we're not having to wait 3 months for a programmer to show up from somewhere.
I noticed something in here that basically you need to have a computer, smartphone, or tablet to operate with this. Does everybody have that form of a device? Who needs to?
Yes, at this point, yes.
So-
Even as you transition over from contract operators who all have that now, the city does, as you hire people, already have sitting up in Shelley's office, a big number of laptops.
We have the technology to.
We have laptops and phones, and the primary, so the primary on-call person, whoever is the person on call that day, they will have it on by on-call phone.
Okay.
So at least whoever's the primary operator for the day, they pass that phone around as they go back and forth, and so.
Is there ever concern about the, it's a bigger question, but like the functionality of technology? Like, is there a fail safe that isn't a smartphone, you know, I guess a computer, but
So, yeah.
I just get concerned with
And that's one of the
technology.
deals that these guys offer, is that there is multiple levels to it.
Okay.
And part of your fail-safe that you're talking about is actually built into the hard programming that's in every, so if we do lose our connection for some reason, and we lose, then everything goes into automated, right? Like each pump house now runs by itself versus as a total system, these kind of things, so. It's built both into the programming and in the security network. We do have controls, and part of these guys' deal is that in this price is all the regular updates.
Great.
So this isn't a one-time, here you go, here's your license, here, this is.
Yeah.
Part of your monthly fee is all the security updates, all of the software updates, all that is.
Yeah, we're not just buying Microsoft 7 and then coming back and buying XP and then.
Question for you to our previous conversation, is there duplication in services if we just hired an IT company?
No.
You know, okay, this is like a separate.
For both cybersecurity and for DEQ requirements, again, having separate systems.
Got it. Okay.
There is one bonus that I believe is gonna happen with this, is that we are going to replace about 10 cell phone lines that we currently are paying for with the system that would be in that cost.
Wow.
And again, it comes down
fees.
to quality of service.
Interesting.
The current provider that we have, I think the monthly cost is very similar, but the quality of service is horrible. I mean, we've asked for them to come up and, you know, look at things, and it'll be 3-6 months before they have it. Well, when it happens like that, that's how a guy has a bathroom back flood twice within 2 periods. So.
And that's one of the reasons why we chose these people, is
Versus the other one.
some others have more programmers, but these people have regular service guys with trucks and everything like that. So if you call,
They come.
they come.
Seems nice. Those are those are the people you want to come to.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it looks like there's a lot of initial startups, but the monthly isn't anything too bad. So, and I like,
And part of your initial startup is just like Shelley brought up, we will be replacing the current radio system, so they come out, they will actually show up with a team that goes through all the control panels, takes out our existing, that is actually run through cell phone lines that we have to pay for. So we're replacing all that radio technology and all that kind of stuff. So the initial cost looks high, but that is an actual team of service techs coming up there and going through every control panel, everything, and
I think came out with a radio meter where, like, we went all the way up to the spring system where we can actually put in a flow meter and it will relay it back down to us. Right now, it's hit or miss, so we have to have a battery replaced every, like, 2 weeks.
every 2-3 weeks, yeah.
that's amazing. Upgrading.
Ready?
Yeah.
I move to approve resolution number 2367, a resolution of the city of Bellevue, Idaho, authorizing the mayor to accept Advanced Control Systems Bellevue Water Carefree SCADA proposal and execute all agreements associated with the proposal pursuant to Idaho Code 67-2803 for the replacement and or upgrade of alarm monitoring hardware and software for the city's water system.
Second.
Member Shea?
Yes.
Member Pereira,
Yes.
Member Leahy,
Yes.
President Jordan,
Yes.
Member Mahoney,
Yep.
Member Obama. Yes.
All right, thank you. That should be the last item. And we have an executive session tonight, or do we?
Well, so the water and the wastewater
Oh.
are split into two. I'm sorry, there's actually two
Oh, I see.
resolutions.
I apologize. So item 8, consideration and approval of resolution 2368, a resolution of the city of Idaho, Bellevue, Idaho, authorizing the mayor to accept advanced focus systems Bellevue wastewater carefree scale proposal and execute all agreements associated with the proposal pursuant to Idaho Code 672803 for the replacement and or upgrades of alarm monitoring hardware and software for the city wastewater system. So I think we kind of talked about them both on that last one. This is just to split the bill between the water and wastewater system.
Oh, got it.
So we have,
So the monthly fee is the 318 plus the 166.
Yes.
Okay, but we're divvying it out between, but there's not an additional 26 in. Or there is an additional 26.
Yes, it's two separate,
So it's 52,
yes.
but split, okay, 26 and 26, okay. The clarifying.
yeah. So with the wastewater system, we've got the plant, we've got the 5 lift stations and
Wastewater center.
yeah. And then the main control system, so.
Cause that one, on the wastewater side, that one was also a little higher because when they came out, and did their tour, we also found a couple battery backups that were dead and that kind of stuff. So they're replacing those as part of their upgrade. They actually had a couple battery backups that our control system died, that our current system didn't let us know happened. So they will be replacing those, and that is part of also one wastewater, not just more locations, but also battery before work.
Is there a guarantee in here that I'm missing? Like for their work, like if they do something and it doesn't work or it fails, like they'll pay.
That's what ICRIM's for.
They are a licensed. They do have like a public works license and all that kind of stuff. So they're a licensed entity.
One more.
Is this just with these two things that we're talking about? Do we have budget for this or how are the numbers?
Again, we do have
Sorry,
money,
just
but
clarify.
with county money that will be coming in, it'll cover 98% of this.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I'm all tired.
Okay, I'll move to approve resolution number 236A. Authorizing the mayor to accept Advanced Control Systems Bellevue wastewater carefree SCADA proposal and execute all agreements associated with the proposal pursuant to Idaho Code 67-2803 for the replacement and or upgrade of alarm monitoring hardware and software for the city's wastewater system.
Second.
So Member Mahoney,
Yep.
Member Pereira,
Yes.
President Jordan,
Yes.
Member Obama,
Yes.
Member Shea,
Yes.
Member Leahy.
Yes.
All right, thank you. So we have an executive session.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Executive session, consideration of executive session in accordance with Idaho statute 74206-1, parentheses F, to communicate with legal counsel for public agency to discuss legal ramifications of legal options for pending litigation or controversies not yet being litigated, but imminently likely to be litigated. We've got Rick, so, yes, everybody disperse. I think you're good, Marshall.
Do you want me to do the motion to go in real quick though?
Yes, I need a motion to go in.
I move to enter into executive session in accordance with Idaho statute 74-206-1F to communicate with legal counsel for the public agency to discuss the legal ramifications of and legal options for pending litigation or controversies not yet being litigated but immediately likely to be litigated.
Second.
I'm leaving.
President Giordano.
Yes.
Hey, thanks, Tony.
Aye. Member Shea,
Yes.
member Carrero,
Yes.
member Mahoney,
Yep.
member Leahy,
Yes.
member Ovina.
Yes.
You wanna go ahead?
So
Sean,
see the 208 number?
yeah,
Because I can walk the meeting.
Yeah.
Just take care of that and walk it.
We're gonna test your
Let's use
prowess.
my record number.
we're just gonna lock the meeting and block everybody else other than you on it, so.
And Candace.
But Candace, so it's only. So the meeting's blocked, so nobody else can come in right now, so it's just the city, Candace and you, Sean.
Do we stop recording or do we record it?
You can stop recording.
Yeah.
Are you still recording?
No, I stopped.
Recording.
Oh, dang it. I hit the wrong button.
It's okay.
Apologize.
Yeah, you just wanna, yeah.